Time for a new feature interview here on Blitz. I'm Brian Carr at Lumpkin County High School with Lady Indians head coach David Dowse, state championship head coach. How's that feel? Does that sound pretty good to you?
Feels great, Brian.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming and a lot of work put in to get to this point, but it feels wonderful.
Yeah, and talk about the whirlwind of what happens after a state title, because it seems like things are just pretty crazy after that.
Right. You and I talked just before this interview, in fact, and it's, the last 4 days, I think I've been busier than I had been in the previous 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow down, but everything's good.
Yeah.
And it's an enjoyable time.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, it's very exciting. I can't wait to see Lumpkin County celebrate you all and North Georgia celebrate you all and put the signs out on the road and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the championship game. And the first half wasn't really going, it wasn't your brand of basketball from, an outsider looking in anyway. A lot of turnovers, easy misses for what you're used to, and really not being able to get the three ball as part of the game plan early on. So GAC, I guess, credit to them, but talk about when you go into halftime, did you change the game plan up, or what did you kind of say at the break?
I don't think so. I think it was actually during warm-ups. I was watching us warm up, and I was watching GAC, and I thought, honestly, they're not quite as tall as I thought they were going to be. I didn't think they were a really tall team to begin with, and I thought, well, maybe we get Kate involved early and see if we can't, loosen up some of the pressure out on three-point shooters later. I don't know that the pressure on the three-point shooters ever let up, but they were switching screens throughout the game, and we were able to get some mismatches with Kate and go inside, and that was a big key to the game.
Yeah, it was definitely working. So you didn't really change anything up at halftime?
We didn't change anything. We reminded ourselves of this is the game plan. We need to rebound. We need to run. We need to stop dribble penetration. We need to look inside first, play an inside-out game. At the start of the third quarter, it wasn't perfect yet, but as the game wore on, and by the time we got to that fourth quarter, we were playing our game.
Right, you go on a 14-0 run. That had to be awesome to watch from your side. I mean, it could have come at a better time, but is that kind of when you knew, like, hey, we're back in this thing? And not necessarily that you got confident enough to say we got it. We got it. But,
right. We were definitely back playing our game. I could see a little bit of the swagger, a little bit of the confidence.
Yep.
The way we were playing, the types of shots we were getting, and really also the way we were running. I thought we had a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I did too. I think you could tell just the team's body language, as you said, the 14-0 run. It really rejuvenated everybody. And on the flip side, you can see it change for GAC. But then it got a little sketch in the last couple minutes. Yeah. And watching you over there, it just seemed like you were like calm, cool, collected, like. Not a big deal, no sweat. But what's really going on? I mean, how fast was your heart beating?
Pretty quickly. I was nervous excitement. I was feeling nervous excitement, but at the same time, that calm demeanor on the sideline probably isn't typical of me most games. But I also knew in that moment that they didn't need a coach that was a raving lunatic out there. They needed to be able to look to the bench and find somebody that was under control. And I hope that helped. Yeah. But there again, you talk about kids that are 14, 15, 16, maybe 17 years old, and the composure that they show and have shown the whole season it's remarkable. I think back to when I was their age, and I did not have those qualities.
Oh, yeah. What has it been like for you? I mean, you've been coaching how many years as a head coach now?
As a head coach, I think this is 19.
19. I was thinking it was around 20. So I know talked about what it means to be a state champion, but how awesome is that to know that you put all these years of work in and finally seeing your ultimate goal come to reality here in the state of Georgia? It
feels really, really good. But as I told the girls, and I've told some other people who have asked a similar question, for me, it's how we won it as much or more so than the fact that we won it. Mm-hmm. We won it the way that I believe it should be done at the high school level with kids who are from your community, neighborhood kids who grew up together, as Mary and Kate and Avery and Lexi have explained. That's what high school sports is supposed to be about. That's what we have here at Lumpkin. That's why the community has rallied around these girls and are so invested in them. And that piece of it makes it all the more satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, they've been together this whole time. and you're not bringing other people in.
We're not.
And trying to build something. You're building from within.
And there's a level of trust. They know that I'm not out there beating the path of the AAU circuit looking for someone to replace them.
Right.
And so I think from that standpoint, they trust me, I trust them, and the end result, is that chemistry and that, I call it that magic that you get when you I said this after our interview on game day. There's some schools that print family across the back of their jersey as if they have to somehow announce that to someone. We just are. Yeah. We just are. We don't have to print it. We just are.
Yep. Now, Kate Jackson, total bummer to say the least that she could not have been part of the team on the court last year, although she was, part of the team, obviously, but not being able to actually use her talents as a coach. What was that like this year to know, like from day one, finally we got her back in the mix? That's a game changer with her presence in the paint.
She's the missing piece. Yeah. I mean, she was the missing piece last year, and that's not taking anything away from the players we had last year, who were wonderful players, and we had a great team last year. But Kate is a true post player, and to her credit, and I heard her comment on this. Everything happens for a reason. I think in Kate's case, if I'm reflecting on that, last year gave Kate not only an opportunity to grow mentally, but also to develop a perimeter game. Right? People don't give Kate enough credit for her ability to step out and shoot the three now. Yeah. She couldn't have done that 2 years ago. People don't give Kate enough credit for her ability to put the ball on the floor. And now we've got a stretch floor. We don't just have an inside player. Right. We've got somebody that can stretch the floor a little bit, and we can find matchups inside. And if they don't want, if they want to put a big on her, we'll step her out. And she's hit more than her fair share of threes there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great secret too, to pull out when you need it. So. And talk about your two star guards. You got Lexi Pierce, Avery Jones, unbelievable 3-point shooters. So fun to watch those two, especially when they're both on in the same game. But you, again, 20 years as a head coach roughly. Have you ever seen a duo of guards that could shoot this well? How talented are they, to put it in perspective?
Well, duo, I would say even trio there with Mary, because we're talking about three kids that shoot at roughly 35, 36, 37% 3-point for a high school player with the number of minutes that they log, all three of them. That's really impressive, and that's a difficult group for opponents to prepare for.
Yeah, good luck, right?
And all of them can handle the basketball.
Yeah.
So now if you're going to take away the three, if you're going to close out hard, they have the ability to put it on the floor and get to the rim, and that's a whole nother element to their game. They're special. Yeah.
That's what makes it awesome, especially knowing that this is all coming back next year too. So, Cross Creek, last year, we all know, I feel like we say this a lot, but we know how last year ended with Cross Creek, heartbreaker here on your home court. I have to imagine that during the agonizing time between the end of that game and the season opener this year that's on your mind, how much did that fuel this run for this year?
It fueled it. I think we still would have had the same goal regardless of winning a state championship, but it fueled it. It was a long time. In fact, I think it was the week that we played Cross Creek before I ever looked at those 5.8 seconds again. I didn't watch it on film. I didn't want to see it. I sort of knew what happened. I didn't want to relive it. And truthfully, I knew, and I told the girls afterwards that was on me. That was my fault. I messed that up. And so for me personally, I felt an obligation and responsibility to them to make sure that we could get them back and have an opportunity to redeem ourselves.
And you sure did on their court in the Elite Eight, 1 and 2, and that was basically a state championship type game right there on their court. What was that like, getting that satisfaction of kind of returning the favor?
Well, it was nice. We actually talked about it. I reminded the girls, because they were disappointed when we lost the coin flip and knew that we were going to have to go to Augusta. That was disappointing because we have such a great home atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
And we naturally we wanted to win the coin flip, but I reminded them, look, sometimes it's even sweeter when you can go into someone else's place and take back what they took from you, and we took back our 5.8. That was pretty special, and we did it in a difficult environment. But behind us seemed like all of Lumpkin County.
Right, they all just carried
They traveled to Augusta in crazy numbers. And then, and really, we struggled in the first half against Cross Creek, especially in the first quarter. We cut the lead to 2, I think, at halftime, and then we exploded. Avery went bananas early in that third quarter, and then we never looked back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just part of the run. So kind of explain, I didn't know this till you mentioned this before we started recording this, but just how tough your road to the championship was. It wasn't your typical run through the gauntlet of the bracket.
No, I look when we had won the region, and I looked at our side of the bracket, I thought, holy Toledo, we might have been better off not winning that region championship. But that was never an option for us. And so, yeah, we played a good Redan team who for much of the season was a top 10 team. Then we went through Tatnall, who at the time was ranked 8th. Then we drew Cross Creek, who was number 2. Westminster was number 4. And then we finished with GAC, who at the time was ranked number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough road.
Insane. Not a gimme on that side of the bracket at all. So last question for you, Coach, and that is you're a guy who you love the mottos, the mantras every year that you come up with are just really insightful. It feels like you spend a lot of time coming up with those. This one was Play 32. Talk about not just what it means, I want you to explain what it means, but also when did that click in your mind and you knew that's what we want to go with this year?
Well, okay, so first, Play 32 is in reference to the fact that a high school basketball game is 32 minutes long. I in the off season when I have time, and I like to go on walks, and that's where I do a lot of my thinking and a lot of planning. And so I spent some time in the spring thinking of mottos and what could be kind of an inspiration for us to work toward that state championship. And it just dawned on me, well, let me count. So I pulled up a schedule on my phone as I was walking and counted how many games it would actually be, because I knew 32 minutes. And sure enough, as long as we got the bye in our region tournament, which I felt pretty good about.
Yeah.
It would be 32 games to the state championship.
Because I guess you got 25 as the max regular season, correct? Something like that, and then you got your region. Right. You know, in the region tournament, what you were going to count.
It would be 2 in our region tournament, right? And then the state was 5.
Yep. Yeah. So it's pretty phenomenal. Well, Coach, you did it. Congratulations on your state championship.
Appreciate your work and you celebrating these kids. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.